All right, so it is here. Robin has finally introduced the Workplace Collaboration Score. I think this is the biggest release that we've had in at least 5 years here at Robin. And I want to give you a quick peek at what we're rolling out and why I'm so excited about it. So why is this so exciting? When we ask the question, why do you even have an office, to our customers or teams that are looking at Robin, this one word keeps popping up: collaboration. And that makes sense, especially with the advent of more flexible work and people choosing to have more of a distributed workforce. So when you have a space that's truly your own as an organization, you want to have it facilitate those collaborative experiences and making sure that when people do come into an office, they get the most out of it. So how do we measure and showcase collaboration through the Workplace Collaboration Score, or we call it the CollabScore? We look at 3 different pillars. How busy is your office, right? The workplace occupancy. Ad hoc collaboration: are people working close to each other, or are they really spread out? And then the third, the planned collaboration piece: are the in-person meetings really facilitating the in-person element of it, or is it one person in a meeting room and everyone else is virtual? And so these are aligned with the 3 primary complaints that we hear when it comes to managing a hybrid policy or flexible work policy. I went into the office and it was empty. I went into the office and I didn't really bump into anybody, or I ended up just sitting on video calls all day. Everyone else was remote. Why did I even make the trip in? It was not worth the visit. So these are the 3 pillars that we look to in both measuring and showcasing, and that's what generates your workplace collaboration score. So available today to anyone, you can just go to collabscore.robinpower.com. We have this little calculator, and you can, of course, blow through this, but it's more accurate if you put in your actual numbers. So if you can make your office, you can configure it with how many workstations you have. It's really, this is actually pretty dynamic. So you can plug in all of your resources, some of your policies. So if people are, let me see, at Robin, we are designated to have, I think 8 days a month is our target. So you can do a slider to see if people are mostly sitting alone. About 25% of the time, people are sitting alone in a pod of desks, just to give people a sense. So it's usually right around here for most organizations. I think that we're a little bit better than that though. And then, are most of your meetings one person in a meeting room taking up for basically a giant phone booth? Or when you have in-person meetings, are most people participating in person? So this slider is really helpful. We know about 53% of meetings are one person in a meeting room. So we'll say occupancy is down here, and then the average actual occupancy. So what does foot traffic look like in your office? So ours, this is the typical bell curve that you would expect, right? For our office, we actually put in an anchor day for sales. So this went from like 15% to 60% in the last couple of weeks here, but let's just say we're going to play around with occupancy, and then we're going to calculate the collab score. So again, this is all fueled by the same data that the index generates across the entire body of Robin customers throughout the globe. It's all anonymized, of course. But you can see that we have these 3 pillars of the collab score. So the workplace occupancy, the ad hoc, and the planned collaboration. So again, you can play around with this to get a sense of what your workplace is going to grade at across the index for free, just on the collabscore.robinpower.com. But if you use Robin, this data is live. We update it every day, and you can get far better insights, and it's automated. So let's take a peek at that. All right, so this is actually a live look at our score here at Robin. You can see that we're in the 86th percentile. We have pretty good occupancy and can improve both on ad hoc and our planned collaboration. So ad hoc, again, this is focusing on how often are people working alone from a pod of desks or in a more scarcely populated office. And we know from the external research, if you are working more than 25 feet away from another colleague, you might as well be on the other side of the city. And what that's really speaking to is you're far more likely to either overhear a conversation or have that tap someone on the shoulder moment and do a little bit of either the mentoring or learning from your colleagues if you're closer together. If you're really spread apart, there's a lot of social norms where you don't want to go up and interrupt somebody, or you can't even hear what they're working on. So the ad hoc collaboration is focusing on, are people working closer together and helping facilitate those ad hoc experiences within the office. And again, That's where a lot of collaboration happens. The planned collaboration, we saw a big impact here and on our occupancy when we introduced a new policy. After seeing our scores, we introduced a new policy where we have the sales team have an anchor day. They all come in on Mondays. So occupancy went up because on Mondays, our occupancy went from, say, 15% to over 50. And then our planned collaboration score went up because we started to reshuffle the calendar so that those team meetings all happened on Monday because everyone was in together. And so that's an example of how we saw our numbers and wanted to improve them. We implemented a new policy for an anchor day around the sales team, and we saw our score go up relative to the thousands of other offices that are using Robin. So that anonymized index, we're in the 86th percentile now, which is pretty good, but again, room to grow on ad hoc. And one of my favorite quotes is, what isn't measured isn't managed. This is giving workplace managers a lot of context to answer the questions that typically leadership is asking of them. And so now we can show through the data, and we have, of course, more detailed reports for each of these three pillars if you're using Robin within the product. Hey, how are we doing? How are we doing relative to other offices out there? If you implemented a change in policy or a configuration in Robin, what was the impact of that? And are we on the right track? And so this is a really, really powerful tool for teams to not only understand how are they doing when it comes to best managing the office, but they obviously have goals around what they want the office to look like the next 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. Or maybe you're preparing for a move or thinking about right sizing how much of an office you have. Maybe you want to take on more space. This is a lot of that fuel to showcase not only how many people you can fit into an office, this is really helping understand what the best configuration of a space is for your team and how to put them in the best position to maximize that in-person time. So that's what's so unique, and that's why we're so excited. All right, so that was a really, really quick overview of what we released today. So CollabScore Calculator, available to everyone. Please go try it out. It's a really fun and helpful way to get a sense of where your office might be today so that you can see where we might be able to help you in the future. And then if you're a Robin customer, that was showcasing how it's all live and baked into the Robin platform. So we're pulling in from all the different sources of seating charts, assigned seats, the flexible desks, all of those things that are inside of Robin. We're giving you a baseline for how you look against the entire index of Robin customers today. So super excited to see what comes up next. Very excited to hear how customers use it and how they are going to use it to improve their spaces. We already have a few early access customers that have already told us some of their planned updates and changes across their portfolio of spaces, because you can even compare building by building, which I didn't even get into today. So again, really, really excited. Would love to hear all sorts of feedback. Send me a note, send us a note. We can't wait to see what our customers and yourself you might do with this information moving forward. So thank you again, and I'm sure I'll talk to you again soon.